Dennis Nilsen was a British serial killer who became infamously known as the Muswell Hill Murderer, or the Kindly Killer. He was born in Fraserburgh, Scotland, and grew up in a troubled household. Nilsen had a difficult relationship with his father and experienced feelings of isolation and detachment during his formative years. Crimes. Between 1978 and 1983, Dennis Nilsen committed a series of gruesome murders. His victims were mostly young men whom he met at pubs or on the streets of London. Nilsen would lure these vulnerable men to his home with the promise of food, drink, or shelter. Once at his residence in Muswell Hill, Nilsen would engage in consensual sexual activities with his victims before strangling them to death. Afterward, he would retain the corpses for an extended period, indulging in necrophilic acts and engaging in conversations with the lifeless bodies. Nilsen's modus operandi involved dismembering the bodies and disposing of them in various ways, including burning them on a bonfire, flushing them down the toilet, or burying them in his garden. Over time, the remains became too conspicuous, leading to his arrest, capture, and legal proceedings. In February 1983, a plumber who was called to Nilsen's residence discovered human remains blocking the drains. The police were informed, and Nilsen was arrested. Initially, he confessed to having killed 15 or 16 men, but later changed the number, claiming 12 victims. During his trial in October 1983, Dennis Nilsen was charged with 6 counts of murder and 2 of attempted murder. He pleaded not guilty to murder, but guilty to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. However, the jury found him guilty of murder, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment. Death. Dennis Nilsen spent the rest of his life in prison. On May 12, 2018, he died of natural causes at the age of 72 at Hempfull Sutton in East Yorkshire. Psychological profile. Dennis Nilsen's psychological profile depicted a man with a distorted sense of empathy and a desire for control over his victims' lives and deaths. He appeared to be motivated by a need for companionship, which he sought through the preservation of his victims' bodies. This behavior reflected a deep-seated sense of loneliness and a warped understanding of intimacy. Legacy. Dennis Nilsen's case remains one of the most infamous serial killer stories in British criminal history. His actions and the depravity of his crimes have been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and studies, contributing to the field of criminology's understanding of the motivations and behaviors of serial killers. Nilsen's legacy serves as a haunting reminder of the depths of human depravity and the potential for darkness that resides within some individuals. We dug around on the internet and read about the theories. Psychological trauma and isolation. One theory regarding Dennis Nilsen's actions points to his troubled childhood and feelings of isolation as significant factors that contributed to his murderous tendencies. Growing up with an emotionally distant father and experiencing a lack of emotional connection with others may have led Nilsen to develop maladaptive coping mechanisms. His inability to form meaningful relationships and his feelings of loneliness may have fueled a distorted desire for companionship, leading him to seek control over the lives and deaths of his victims. Escapism and necrophilic fantasies. Another theory delves into Nilsen's necrophilic tendencies as a means of escaping from reality and avoiding emotional intimacy. Engaging in sexual acts with the lifeless bodies of his victims might have provided a temporary illusion of control and intimacy, allowing him to avoid the complexities and potential disappointments that come with genuine relationships. For Nilsen, the fantasy of retaining his victims as companions after their death may have been a way to fulfill unmet emotional needs and cope with his psychological traumas. It is essential to note that these theories are speculative and cannot fully explain the complexities of Dennis Nilsen's actions. The motivations behind serial killers are often multifaceted and deeply ingrained in their individual psychological makeup. As with many serial killers, comprehending the true depths of Nilsen's mind may remain an enigma, And the theories above merely aim to shed light on potential factors that may have contributed to his monstrous behavior. If Dennis Nilsen hadn't existed, the world would have been spared the horrors of his gruesome crimes, and the lives of his victims would have been preserved. Here are some potential outcomes if Nilsen had not existed. Lives saved. The young men who fell victim to Nilsen's sadistic tendencies would have continued to live their lives. Their families and loved ones would have been spared the unimaginable grief and trauma caused by their untimely deaths. Prevention of further crimes. Nilsen's capture and imprisonment prevented him from committing additional murders. Without his presence, potential future victims would have been spared from falling prey to his manipulative tactics and violent tendencies. Impact on society. Nilsen's case had a profound impact on the public's awareness of serial killers and the reality of such heinous crimes. If he hadn't existed, the specific notoriety surrounding his case may have been directed towards other notorious criminals. Understanding serial killers. While Dennis Nilsen's case contributed to the understanding of serial killers and their motivations, the absence of his crimes would have shifted the focus of research and analysis to other cases. The field of criminology would have still progressed in its exploration of the complexities of criminal behavior. Media and cultural impact. Nilsen's case has been the subject of books, documentaries, and media coverage, contributing to public fascination with true crime stories. If he hadn't existed, attention would likely have been drawn to other notorious serial killers and criminal cases.
Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey into the dark realm of serial killers. We hope this video has provided you with valuable insights and a deeper understanding of these complex and haunting figures. If you found this content thought-provoking and informative, we would greatly appreciate your likes, comments, and shares